only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
Please bring us up to date.
or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons,
Very, very curious.
we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
you're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Ben Leo Tonight. Are Islamist extremists now running our prisons? Bombshell comments by the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, claim self-styled Muslim Brotherhood leaders control wings in many high-security prisons. The Times also reported that authorities often fail to intervene out of fear of being labelled Islamophobic. Also on the show...
It is my pleasure to bring from His Majesty the King a letter. He sends his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to you?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, a White House official has dismissed Downing Street's claim that Donald Trump reduced the tariffs on Britain due to lobbying by Sir Keir Starmer. A White House official clarified that tariffs were based on existing trade deficits, suggesting the Prime Minister's charm offences have had no impact whatsoever. So it begs the question, has Brexit saved Britain after all? Also...
At home, we are watching adolescents with our children. I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, and it's a very, very good documentary to watch, or drama. This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent.
Yeah, the government seemed to be suddenly focused on toxic masculinity in young boys. However, questions are being asked why fictional Netflix drama, Adolescence, has implored the Prime Minister act when meeting the parents of little girls murdered by terrorist Axel Radubakana did not. And...
We have 1.3 million people waiting on housing waiting lists. There isn't a person listening to this show that will not know somebody who is desperate to get on the housing ladder. So therefore, we're determined to turn that tide.
Yeah, Angela Rayner said she's absolutely determined to meet her target of building 1.5 million more homes. We're going to ask the hard question here tonight, particularly as to who will be getting those new homes. And have you set your tea time alarm?
Tea time. Is that really it?
Yes.
Did you not take that off of your phones?
Yeah, I've got mine set tonight. Joining me on my panel are former Met Detective Peter Blexley, former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards, and Journalist and Communications Advisor Linda Jubilee. Yeah, big show coming up, including the first of tomorrow's newspaper pages. First, your news headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Very good evening to you. Our top stories. The Labour MP Dan Norris has been arrested on suspicion of rape and child sex offences. The party says it has suspended the 65-year-old former minister after being informed of his arrest. It's understood Norris, who's also the mayor of the west of England, was arrested on Friday over claims of historic sexual attacks on a girl and a rape allegation from the 2020s. The MP for North East Somerset and Hanham has lost the party whip. Labour says it cannot comment further while the police investigation is ongoing. President Trump has told American people to hang tough, saying although the current economic situation won't be easy, it will deliver historic results. His comments come as Jaguar Land Rover announced it will pause shipments to the US this month because of Trump's 25% tax on imported cars. JLR sells 100,000 cars to the United States every year. That is a quarter of its global sales. The US is the second biggest importer of British-made cars after the EU. The former head of Aston Martin has said that job losses in the UK industry are inevitable. Well, yesterday, Wall Street closed after one of its most volatile weeks in years, with its three main indexes down by more than 5%. JP Morgan, the investment firm, says odds of a global recession have risen from 40% to 60%. Well, crowds have gathered in cities around the world to hold anti-Trump demonstrations. We can bring you some pictures from London, where crowds gathered as part of the hands-off movement. Now, these have been taking place around the world, not just across the United States. Protesters say they're standing up for democracy and they're against the president's policies generally, not just the new tariffs. The demonstrations come after Donald Trump threatened to invade Greenland, Canada and Panama. That's a reference to the hands-off. The movement organised by more than 150 groups, including civil rights groups and trade unions. New footage has emerged which appears to contradict Israel's account of the killing of 15 medics and rescue workers in Gaza last month. A warning some viewers may find the following footage distressing. The Palestinian Red Crescent says the video was recovered from the phone of Rifat Radwan, one of the men who was killed and buried in a shallow grave. It shows a fire engine and clearly marked ambulances driving at night using flashing emergency lights before stopping beside another vehicle. Now, as two men get out to examine the scene, gunfire erupts before the screen goes black. The Israeli military, since this footage has emerged, has now admitted to mistakenly identifying a convoy of aid workers as a threat after initially claiming its soldiers fired on terrorists in suspicious vehicles with their lights off. Independent MP Rupert Lowe has raised £500,000 to launch an inquiry into Britain's grooming gangs. The MP for Great Yarmouth launched a crowdfunder just over a week ago. He was hoping to raise £50,000. Well, this evening it's gone past £500,000. Lowe says he's hopeful that if enough powerful evidence can be gathered together, it may be possible to launch a judicial review to force Labour's hand on a state inquiry. He says a qualified panel is being assembled and the money will fund a legal advisory team to support the panel, with all hearings to be live streamed. And in the Grand National, Nick Rockett, trained by Willie Mullins and ridden by his son Patrick, won the famous race at Aintree earlier. It was a 33-1 shot and it came home in a 1-2-3 finish for the champion trainer Mullins. 2024 winner Ian Maximus came second. Grange Clare West was third. A great day for Mullins. 5 of the top 7 and his son, an amateur jockey, winning the race. And the owner of the horse, Stuart Andrew, takes home more than £500,000. Those are your headlines. I'll be back with more at 10.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Britain's prisons are being overrun by Islamist gangs. Self-styled Muslim Brotherhood leaders control wings in many high-security prisons. And instead of isolating them, the system is protecting them, not officers or the public. That was Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Secretary, who has said that this week. Is this any surprise, given that the Muslim population has gone up in prisons over 30% in the last decade or so? And they have highlighted many times religious wars and conversions taking place across our prisons by some people holding extremist views. It was revealed this week that HMP Frankland our so-called most secure Category A prison is a ticking time bomb. No pun intended, of course. The Times exposed that Islamist gangs are running the show there, forcing inmates who don't want to join their ranks into segregation units just to stay alive. By the way, I have no sympathy for those in those prisons, but there we are. The prison, one of the highest security jails in Britain, is said to have become overrun with Islamic gangs. That its terrorist separation centres, which were built in bid to stop the terrorists from radicalising others, have become totally defunct. Now, some prisoners are apparently being isolated to dodge death threats and attacks from Islamic extremists, though a prison service spokesman does deny that claim. Former prisoner Governor Ian Atkinson warned the Conservative Post that failure to tackle these issues could spark race riots inside. He called it a national security threat. But more shocking still, Robert Jenrick went on to expose that our morally bankrupt bureaucracy is slowing action by tying up prisons in red tape. Jenrick said the court forced prison authorities to treat a known propagandist as if his extremism were just a theory. Governors now have to build case files for individual self-styled emirs as if they're on trial all over again. And in my opinion, de-radicalisation in our prisons isn't just failing, it's a complete and utter farce. A 2020 House of Lords report questioned the effectiveness of these programmes, and still to this day, nothing has changed. Terrorists are setting up Sharia courts in some jails, according to a 2020 report by Jonathan Hall KC, and staff are too scared to step in because guess what? They don't want to be branded Islamophobic. How can the public feel safe when our most dangerous prisons are turning into extremist breeding grounds, knowing that eventually they'll be back on our streets, even more radicalised than before? So what do we do when these dangerous people are back on the streets of Britain? Some of them will undoubtedly be foreigners. And the sane-minded of us would assume they'd be on the first flight out of here, which, frankly, should have been the place in the first place. But you've seen the headlines week after week showing our bankrupted justice system overturning deportation rulings of dangerous foreign criminals. Let's be real. We're running out of options. We're running out of time, and successive governments have been completely asleep at the wheel. If we can't deport them and we can't de-radicalise them, we're sitting on a powder keg. And mark my words, it is going to blow. Right, let's get the thoughts of my A-star panel here. Journalist and communications advisor Linda Jubilee, former Met Police detective Peter Bleksley, former Labour special advisor Paul Richards. Peter, I want to start with you. How on earth have we got to a point where Islamic extremists are supposedly, according to reports, running Britain's prisons?
Because about 18% of the prison population are Muslim. That's why they're a significant proportion. And, of course, many of those locked up are for the most heinous crimes committed against the British public, acts of terrorism, mass murder. And, of course, these people are absolute fanatics. There is no rehabilitation of these people. It is their life quest and, of course, their death quest, because they think they will be rewarded in death for the sins that they have bestowed upon the great British people. So, yes, anybody with half an ear attached to the criminal justice system will tell you that this is actually happening. And quite simply, I see no possibility at the moment with the current leadership within prisons, with the poorly paid staff, poorly trained, under-resourced, who are, quite frankly, doing anything for a quiet life so they get home intact to their families, not running these jails as they should be done. I fear for the future.
Yeah, Paul, this is really shocking stuff. And we keep seeing these headlines. Year after year, we keep hearing about it. It's clearly getting worse. In my opinion, the Tories did little to stop it. What's Labour going to do, do you think?
I mean, I certainly echo those points about the prison officers who are underpaid and have terrible time. We haven't had the investment in that we need. Yeah. Interesting that is yet again Jenrick generating headlines. I heard this last week. You know, Kemi's where is she? But Robert Jenrick's making the news. In terms of the actual issue, I can remember when I was in government, this being an issue 15 years ago. So the fact that this is going on, the radicalisation is going on in prison, we've been aware of this for an awfully long time. It's not new news. It is deeply worrying. But the problem is, what do you do? Because, like Peter says, some of the Islamist ideology is so embedded in people's heads that actually they're irreconcilable. They just be locked up for the rest of the time.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it, Linda? Because they're turning these prisons into recruitment grounds, and these people eventually, a lot of these people are British citizens. They're born here.
The problem is you've got an exponential growth here. I hear what Paul is saying. The problem has been around, but it is growing fast. And it's now a profoundly disturbing issue. I mean, and it's not just prisons. I've made mention before that I've been inside hotels delivering women's empowerment programmes.
I've been inside. I thought you were going to say that. That would have been a revelation.
Don't put me off.
No.
So I know for a fact that incendiary situation also exists inside some hotels because the borough commander has used exactly that word you used, a powder keg.
Yep.
But the idea that it might be going on in a maximum security jail is profoundly worrying because I don't really know what you can do to try and cope with this. But I do know that because of some of the work I've done in communications advice, there is huge concern that people won't raise a red flag because they are concerned that the race card will be played against them. And that's what's behind people doing nothing.
Does that come down to the training for the prison staff there? Because they need to understand there is a difference between being a Muslim and just doing your worship and all the rest of it, and Islamist ideology, which is an anti-West ideology rooted in the idea they want to destroy the civilization.
How are they allowed to set up Sharia courts?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it, Peter? Because look, it seems to me. I mean, obviously Jonathan Hall, Casey, there, and multiple credits to the Times as well for these big exposés. They're saying that prison authorities are essentially too scared to speak out because of Islamophobia, which is exactly what we heard about the rape gangs, by the way. I mean, it's just this bureaucracy just getting out of control again.
It is, but another aspect coming into play here, which you might be rather surprised to hear, is the real downgrading of blue-collar workers, which has happened for the past couple of decades, because the educated intellectual elite that run this country look down upon people who do frontline jobs, like being a prison officer. Back in the day, you'd earn a decent wage, you'd be very well trained, supported by experienced staff, and it was a career you could do for life and retire on a decent pension. But no, because you're not one of the educated elite, they look down at you. There's intellectual snobbery coming into play here. It's the same rot across policing, but they, of course, are all deluding themselves because they're all rushing off to get degrees while policing gets worse. But it is. The downgrading of blue-collar workers is actually a fundamental part of this concern.
But do you think that some people are keeping their mouths shut because they do fear that they will be criticised for...
Yes, because the utterly intolerant DEI wokery brigade will drum you out of your job. If you say, for example, there's a bloke in a frock, OK, you will get absolutely drummed out of your job, ostracised, cancelled for calling a bloke in a frock, and so it goes on. And while we have this intolerant kind of elitism amongst DEI departments, HR, call themselves what they will, where people are terrified to say what they think and what is the truth, then I'm afraid the rot is just going to set in even deeper.
Yeah, Paul, what do you make of that? Because, we spoke a lot about DEI and wokeism and how it's destroying, sensible institutions like the prison service. It should be quite straightforward to run a prison, really, isn't it? Keep the inmates in line and stop them from organising into gangs. But, again, we're talking decades on from the first stories about this, and it seems the bureaucracy's again creeped in.
But the argument here is that you need to understand what Islamism is and what it is not in order to tackle it. And I don't think that education is going on inside the prison service. Right,
so you think it's an issue with the education of the prison authorities?
Well, I think it's having the ability to spot when somebody has been radicalised, when they're being, when the texts are coming out, the sort of, the anti-Semitic texts, the anti-West ideology.
But surely,
not just
they know if there's a serious terrorist in a Category A prison that they're going to harbour really harsh, radicalised view. Surely they do.
Seem from the evidence not.
If you go to prison for committing mass murder at London Bridge and such like, right, it's pretty clear who you are, what you stand for, and what you want to do to this country.
But that's a tiny minority. We're not talking about that. We're talking about people who have been radicalised in prison or going in.
Yeah, by exactly the sort of people I've just been talking about, who spread their evil, wicked bile amongst others, and then frighten them into converting into Islam.
I mean, no, it's not about converting to Islam either. It's about people who are getting into a ideology which is called Islamism.
OK, all right, well, moving on. Anyway, there's loads more to unpack on this, by the way. This is going to be an evolving story. But time now for the Great British Giveaway, and it's the biggest prize we've ever given away. It's your chance to drive away with a brand new four-berth motorhome, so I can't get that word out, four-berth motorhome with over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you £5,000 in cash to want the chance to become the biggest winner? Well, here's all the details you need.
We're making the Great British Giveaway a getaway with a chance to win our biggest prize to date. You could be the proud owner of this Elneg Baron 560 motorhome, worth over £67,000. Supplied brand new from Marquis Leisure, you could be exploring Great Britain and beyond this summer and making memories to last a lifetime. This motorhome comfortably sleeps four, has its own kitchen and bathroom spaces, and comes complete with all of the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle of this calibre. And that's not all, as we'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash so you can get started on your next adventure as soon as possible. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, up next. President Donald Trump has imposed a 10% tariff on the UK, as you all know. Has Brexit saved Britain from 20% tariffs that have smacked the EU? This is Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
please bring us up to date.
Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Britain is seeing its first Brexit dividend as President Donald Trump imposes a 10% tariff on UK goods, half the rate hitting EU exporters. This move, hailed as a win for the UK's independent trade status, has been praised by leaders like Lord Frost, who sees it as a vindication of Brexit. While the tariff isn't without its challenges, UK businesses may benefit from the competitive edge over our EU counterparts, especially in sectors like aerospace. Economists warn of short-term pain, of course, but see potential for long-term gains as tariffs create new trade opportunities and lower prices for consumers. So, has Brexit saved Britain with President Donald Trump's tariffs? Well, I'm joined now by journalist for the European Conservative, Dave Atherton, and human rights campaigner and director of the Peter Thatchell Foundation, Peter Thatchell. Welcome both to the studio. Welcome. Very good to have you here. David, you're a GB patriot, as I know. Have we been saved by Brexit?
I would say absolutely magnificently. Leaving the EU is the best thing we ever did. And let me just get these figures out. And not many of you might know this. In 2016, when we voted to leave the EU, we exported to the European Union £242 billion worth of goods and services and goods. Services and goods was £242 billion. In 2023, which was the last time I ever get some figures for, it's now £356 billion in services and goods that we've sold to the EU, and that's a 47%. It's a 47% increase. And also, we've also done extremely well in America in the same time as well. But yeah, it is to be welcomed that Britain has always been a free trade nation. Adam Smith, right through to the classical liberalism of the Institute of Economic Affairs. We've always been a free trade nation. I think that's half the reason why that Donald Trump hasn't bashed us so much, and also because he's sticking on the big tariffs on the other countries, we might be able to undercut them. Right. Undercut them, on their goods and services.
Or perhaps we could get more trade from the EU as a result of it, as an independent country, right? Because they're going to have to find new trading partners and maybe step up.
Well,
with
and
Britain.
also as well, the other thing as well, some of these people won't be able to sell their goods, and they might offer it to us at a cheaper rate.
OK.
So there's that deflationary.
Well, Peter, look, that's a pretty strong case there from David. What do you have to say about the tariffs?
Let's be absolutely clear. Donald Trump has declared economic war on Britain and the rest of the world. He wants to undermine the British economy. He wants to damage our manufacturing industry. He's happy to see job losses. That is outrageous, and we have to resist. He is trying to protect America at the expense of the rest of the world, including Britain. This is not going to be a win. All throughout history, trade wars like this have led to mutual ruin. And, the long-term effects, I think there may be some rosy pockets, but overall, the long-term effects are going to be devastating for this country and other countries.
Well, would you not argue that as a result of Brexit, we are now seeing a dividend? Because we were only getting a 10% hit, we would be under 20% under the EU if we'd stay. Would you not make that argument?
Well, let's not forget that Brexit cost this country about £50 billion in redoing all the bureaucracy and red tape. The process of withdrawal cost us £50 billion, which could have been put into the NHS and schools and other social projects. That's a huge negative cost. Now, we do have this differential with the EU with regard to the tariffs. But 10% is still quite a hard hit for British manufacturing. Lots of our manufacturing, which goes to the US, has quite narrow margins. And it means, as we've seen today, that car manufacturers are pulling out of exporting to the US because of the damage this tariff will cause. And that is going to potentially impact British jobs for British workers. That is not a good move.
Well, but hang on a second. When you look at the EU and America and Britain, what have you, be quiet. We actually export twice as much to America as we import. And the differential is the EU sells 3 times as much goods and services to America than they import from America. There really is a massive trade imbalance. Now, even if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, when Britain produced 2/3 of the world's manufactured goods, we always ran a deficit year in, year out. So this, it is a natural progression of being a rich country. I think also Donald Trump as well is also doing the art of the deal as well. He's splashing numbers around with the hope that we're going to meet halfway there. And, and also another thing I particularly like, something I wanted to ask you about, Peter, the fact he's adding in the free speech requirement as well, I think that is to be particularly welcomed.
Yeah, well, going back to the economic side of things, I feel and fear for British workers in the car industry, which is a major employer in this country. The 10% tariff is going to make many of those cars exported to the US uncompetitive. It could lead, I fear it will lead, to a loss of British jobs. Yeah. And that's disastrous. That's absolutely disastrous. On the free speech issue, there have been some excesses and restrictions on free speech, I agree, and those are wrong, but they're tiny. Tiny by comparison to the United States, where people get picked up off the street for expressing views about the Israel-Gaza war and then sent to deportation.
Well, maybe let me just also frame a different question to you both, because Keir Starmer in Downing Street claimed that the Prime Minister had obviously secured a good deal, this 10% tariff, essentially, due to his lobbying. Now, the White House are putting cold water all over that, saying that actually, no, we base this on pre-existing, trade affairs. Should the Prime Minister take any credit?
No, not Keir Starmer. Donald Trump is America first, and Keir Starmer is the world first. We're very much down at the bottom. Britain's very much down at the bottom of the queue. I think what might be part of Donald Trump's gambit is to split us away from the EU. Right. Divide and rule.
Absolutely. That is absolutely what he wants.
Which I'm all for.
He wants a weakened Britain and a weakened Europe. He wants our economies to tank so America can take advantage of it. And that is greedy. It's a form of economic imperialism, like the old days of the 19th century, and it's going to damage our economy, our jobs and our people.
But Peter, would you make the argument that globalism is part of the problem here? Because we have been so exposed to the international businesses, the American businesses here, the German car manufacturers, now they own them, like they've got our last blast steel furnace is owned by the Chinese. Is this not a case for bringing back at least economic nationalism?
Well, there have been some downsides to globalisation. There's also been advantages, because it meant that we can take advantage of cheaper raw materials and products we can sell to lots of countries. That's a good thing. But, of course, there's always room for improvement. Sure. And I think, in the current climate, our economy is not doing well. Anything like these tariffs is going to cause us more harm and more pain. And I'm very worried tonight for British pensioners who have their pensions in companies that are being impacted by Donald Trump's tariffs. We've seen the share prices dropping, and that's knocking off huge 10 or 20% of people's pensions. Okay. That's terrible.
David? The three major problems with Britain at the moment is government overspending, nearly £3 trillion in debt, massive immigration. They're two of the reasons why this country is failing. And and it's not really these tariffs that are going to do the damage. It's the Labour Party's running of the economy and the way they have failed to tackle government spending, amongst other things.
Well, look at Spain. I'm not saying Spain's perfect, but their economy is the most successful in the world. They've rejected austerity. They have a 3.6% growth, annual growth. They've been praised by international economic institutions. They show that austerity is a bad way to go.
But
by investing in public services...
Spain does have a very high unemployment rate. We have to, especially amongst young people, so we do have to highlight that. But unfortunately, gentlemen, I have to leave it there. David, Peter, brilliant debate. Thank you both for coming in. But coming up, Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says there's only 1 in 4 teachers are men. She believes male teachers can help guide boys towards positive behaviour. Is there a lack of male teachers in schools? This is Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Don't worry about it.
It'll spoil our holiday.
Relax, we're totally covered.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Although some of the sunniest and warmest weather across Europe is in the UK at the moment, there'll still be some fine weather for parts of Spain. However, an area of rain is moving into Portugal, Madeira, just about avoiding Canaries for Sunday. Further east into central, eastern and southern Spain, as well as Gibraltar, sunny spells. Showers for Italy and for Greece, not as lively as the thunderstorms we saw last week. Then it turns a bit colder for Italy and Greece later next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
SpaceX latest Starship exploded over the Caribbean Sea.
I was wondering where it'd gone.
Yeah, debris could be seen falling back to Earth moments after the Starship launched down from Boca Chica, Texas. The rocket, of course, was unmanned. This was the 8th test flight, and it was only meant to be in the air for an hour. But, importantly, the booster for this rocket was caught with those Mechazilla chopsticks in an impressive display, the 3rd time that's happened.
Those Mechazilla chopsticks. This is Elon Musk's spaceship, isn't it? Starship, sorry. Yeah. Planetary scientist Andy Lound could tell us more about this. Andy, so was this a disaster or is this just a little obstacle to success?
Yeah, good morning. Par for the course, really. This is what kind of, good afternoon, par for the course as these things go on. The whole point of the tests, he's going to do 25 tests this year alone. And the interesting thing about this is you actually see the staging of it, where you've got the first stage, the booster, and then the second section, which is the ginormous rocket, which actually lifts off. The first stage, they seem to have got that cinched now, how it works quite well, coming back and landing in the chopsticks, absolutely breathtaking. The second stage, the Starship, was actually the new version of it, which they're testing out completely. And unfortunately, the first testing, the last test failed, and that was due to, it looks like, some frequency issues, which caused a frequency to go too high, which caused damage to the piping, which led to a fuel leak and a fire, which led to destruction. They made a lot of modifications, which led to test 8. And unfortunately, though, it has failed again. So they need to have a look at exactly what the issues are which are causing these failures.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson has called for more male teachers in schools, saying boys need stronger role models to combat toxic online influences. Well, speaking at a children's conference, Phillipson stressed that only 1 in 4 teachers are men, with fewer in primary education. She believes male teachers can help guide boys towards positive behaviour and resilience. The push, of course, comes amid growing concerns over the impact of digital media and its links to misogyny, highlighted in the Netflix series Adolescence. We are now joined by Director at Cambridge Online Education, Dr. Troy Page. Dr. Troy, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Now, there's been a lot of talk about adolescence. I'm personally a little bit sick of it. I think we should have been talking about young boys' mental health a very, very long time ago. But, you know, putting in more male teachers into schools, is that really going to solve the problem?
I think it's going to help quite considerably. You talk about a long time ago, but I can remember back in 2002, David Blunkett talking about the same thing and actually getting into quite a lot of trouble because a lot of people were saying that he was basically bashing female teachers for asking for more male role models. But so it's been going on a long time, and the truth of the matter is we just need to pay them properly. I mean, if we pay male teachers properly, we'll find that there's more male teachers. But yeah, of course, we need more male role models. Schools should be representative of the wider society, and frankly, they're not. There's obviously 3/4 of the teachers are female. That's not good enough. And going back to the pay argument, a 17% drop in the number of male teachers in the classroom over the last 10 years. That's down to pay.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I suspect it's also down to unruly children at school as well. That seems to be getting worse and worse behaviour in schools.
Glad you mentioned that.
Yeah,
Glad you mentioned that.
What is the impact of behaviour on in schools?
Oh, honestly, you know, I no longer teach in a state school. I've been physically attacked by teenagers, teenage boys. I've seen teenage boys go through windows. It's a very, very violent environment for a lot of teachers, and there are not really the protections for male teachers in particular. I mean, over 70% of accusations towards towards teachers are actually against male teachers, despite the fact that there's only a quarter of the staff are male. So it is a serious situation, one that isn't very attractive for male teachers.
Well, what do you think is causing this behaviour crisis? Is it online influences, or is it simply a breakdown of the family unit? What is it? Is it a mixture? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's a complex question. It doesn't have any easy answers, but I think you could improve the situation considerably if we had a situation where there was enough money in a household for a parent to spend more time with their children. I think it's all well and good for Dame Rachel D'Souza to accuse parents of not giving enough time to their children and leaving their children to chat GPT to find answers about the big questions in life. It's all well and good for her to say that, but somebody's got to pay the bills. And so I've got a lot of sympathy for British families who are struggling to put food on the table. But that said, parents do need to step up. I think the adolescence programme was very clear on that point. You know, the parents at the end, they were asking, should we have done more? And that potentially is something that a lot of parents were alerted to in that particular programme. So I think parents can always do more if they're afforded the time with their children to do so. But many households struggling. So, you know, it's easier said than done.
Dr. Troy Page, thank you very much for joining us and giving us your insights on that. I want to get the thoughts of my panel, journalist and communications advisor Linda Jubilee, former Met Police detective Peter Blexley, and former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards. Linda, I mean, you know, Keir Starmer's made a big song and dance about this adolescent stuff in the House of Commons. We are now rolling the show out to primary and secondary schools. We're just like, is this completely bonkers? Because, you know, in my very strong opinion, he went and met the victims of Axel Rudibakana, and how on earth did that not implore him at that moment in time, but a fictional drama would?
That's what I can't understand. This is not a documentary. It's not a factual programme. It is a drama. And I know from being on a programme that made 2 half-hour programmes per week that producers look for certain things that build impact in a drama, and they are different to the kind of observation and evidence you gather in a documentary. So, first of all, but it's really important to draw that distinction, because even our guest there is saying, well, there were certain things the adolescence programme made clear. It's not supposed to be making anything clear.
This is it, isn't it, Peter? I mean, we seem to be completely out of touch. I mean, I'm baffled when I see the Prime Minister's had this light bulb switch on today. This has been going on for a really long time, hasn't it?
It has, but to answer the real core subject of what we're talking about, I use the example of my youngest boy, who's now 22. He went to a non-selective comprehensive school, an all-boys school.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of young fellas there at that school who came from the tough side of the street.
Yeah.
And the headmaster there, who I'm going to give a shout-out to, Mr Skinner, ran that school with a rod of iron. He used to frighten the life out of me on parents' evenings. He was exactly the kind of man you wanted in charge. He kept that school in order. He kept those kids in line, and they learnt and they achieved.
Yeah.
And that's what boys in school need.
Paul, your thoughts? Sorry, we have to wrap up this bit shortly, but Paul, go ahead.
Well, Bridget Phillipson's making a good point, which you do need male role models. You need leadership in schools. Peter's absolutely right. You need support for dads as well, to teach them how to be dads. And also you need, it was a great shame we abolished the Sure Starts, where a lot of this parenting skills could be taught in the community too.
Yeah.
We should get back to that.
But we don't need to be rolling out adolescence in school.
Well, I've not seen it, but you know, the bigger point is we do need role models.
Well, I have seen it, and I wouldn't let my children watch it below a certain age. And I think anyone watching it, it's a good piece of drama. There's no question about that.
Sure, but it's not a documentary. It's not a documentary. Anyway, coming up, Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary Angela Rayner is determined to meet the target of building 1.5 million new homes by 2029. To who will these houses go to, though? Is it the priority, such as homeless people, or is it others? This has been Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. High pressure keeps it settled. It does mean it'll turn quite chilly tonight with some mist and fog in places, but then there'll be plenty of sunshine to come through Sunday. And we can see high pressure just sat firmly across the northeast of the UK. A bit of a keen easterly breeze through the day today, but it should start to ease a little. Some low cloud as we move through into the early hours, moving in across northern England, northern and eastern parts of Scotland. So turning quite murky here. Otherwise, it's a clear night to come, turning quite chilly where those skies remain clear and the winds are light, temperatures dropping away into single figures. Touch of frost for 1 or 2, particularly across northern England into Scotland. Temperatures here likely to fall below freezing in the countryside. So a bit of a grey start across the north of the UK. So if we take a look at the details first thing Sunday morning, we can see quite a lot of low cloud across Orkney and Shetland, eastern parts of Scotland too. But in the west, plenty of sunshine to greet us first thing, and lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland into parts of northern England and Wales too. Just some low cloud around the higher ground and plenty of sunshine across the rest of England as well. Bit of an easterly breeze through the day. It will stay quite chilly along some eastern coasts once more, but plenty of sunshine to come. Just low clouds still affecting parts of Orkney and Shetland, but hopefully it will brighten up here through the afternoon as well, and lots of places seeing lots of sunshine, and the sunshine a little hazy at times, but lifting temperatures towards the mid-teens, 17, 18 Celsius possible across the southwest again. Winds feeling a little lighter, so it should just feel a little bit warmer too. Cold night into Monday morning, a patchy frost in places, and then more of the same to come. Plenty of sunshine through the day, just some low cloud again across the far north of Scotland into Orkney and Shetland. And high pressure holds on through much of next week, keeping it dry and sunny, and temperatures remain above average. See you again soon.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo Tonight. Now, Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary Angela Rayner is determined to meet the target of building 1.5 million new homes by 2029, despite economic challenges. Speaking on LBC, Rayner stressed that while the goal won't solve the housing crisis, it's a crucial step forward. She highlighted the recent £2 billion funding boost for affordable homes and planning reforms to speed up development. With over 1.2 million on the waiting list for social housing, Rayner vowed to begin addressing the crisis, even if a full resolution takes decades. But who is going to get these homes? Are they going to homeless people? Are they going to people who need it as a priority? Well, I am now joined by model Louise Glover. Louise, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I mean, of course, you know, Rishi Sunak had a policy before he left office, the former Prime Minister, to prioritise British citizens for housing, social housing first. That was ripped up by the Labour Party. Do you think that was a mistake?
I don't really know what's going on out there, really, do we? We think we know what they're doing, but I don't think they know what they're doing. I think, have they got it right this time with building new homes, or...?
Well, I think, you know, it seems to me that you'd want to prioritise British citizens first for these types of homes. And, you know, my family, we didn't come from a very wealthy background and often struggled with housing. And, you know, you'd think, for goodness sake, we've got to look after British people first in this country. And it doesn't seem to me that having read what the policy might be, that will end up being the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to actually help the people that really need it. I think there's new people coming into this country that's going to get... Well, I'll give you my story.
Yeah, please.
I know firsthand that being down the council last week, going in there saying, I'm sleeping in my car, can you please help me? And I've been in there several times. And a guy came out and spoke to everyone in the room, in the reception, in Arabic. And I'm sat there... And I had to ask other people, what did the person say?
Wow.
And I feel a foreigner in my own country.
It's incredible.
And I'm not getting the help that even I need. And then when I went up to the reception, the guy, and I said to him, when am I, going to get seen? I've been here 2 hours. He went, oh, you need to go to the homeless shelter because the woman's there, not here. So then I did that, and I went to the homeless shelter, and the woman said to me, and I said the same thing, I'm sleeping in my car tonight, what do I do? I've been in here many, many times. And she turned around and said, there's nothing we can do. There's not,
That's quite an incredible story, Louise.
She gave me a blanket.
Yeah.
She gave me a blanket and wished me luck. And that was the story of that day, very recently.
I want to bring in the panel here. I mean, everyone at home knows who all you all are, because you're here every weekend, thankfully. But Peter, this is quite shocking stuff. We're hearing, Louise is telling the story that she's going to a council. She's actually having to get someone to translate for her in English. That's quite shocking.
A young, homeless, resourceful woman with so much of her life in front of her, if only she could have a roof over her head so that you could rebuild your business with the dog training and the dog minding and all of that kind of thing. And when you go to for help, you are addressed in Arabic in the UK. Now, that should have people turning out onto the streets tomorrow with placards and banners and marching to Downing Street and saying, what the hell is going on in Great Britain, because it doesn't feel very great to me.
Yeah, Paul, that's quite damning, isn't it? Because, you know, Angela Rayner has obviously rebukes claims that these will go to people that are non-British citizens. Obviously, she's saying that that's a nonsense story. But, you know, people like Louise, who is sitting there with a real story there about being addressed in a foreign language when she's coming to try and get help from the government, it's quite exposing, is it not?
Well, people are fighting over scant resources, aren't they? That's the problem, is this about supply. And when, you know, Angela Rayner talks about this target of all these millions of houses, they haven't been built yet, you know, and I think the first thing we need to do is have more social housing and more council housing at that end of the market, so that frees up that real pressure that Louise is talking about.
How about a bit less addresses in Arabic? Well, that's not supply. They're being spoken to in Arabic in the UK.
Let's build the houses. That's what we need to do.
I don't necessarily think it's a matter of supply. I think what we're dealing with now is it's a matter of priorities.
No, it's about building the houses.
No.
We've got to build them, otherwise there's no argument.
I just want to come back to Louise for a second. Obviously, you know, the councils...
Well, Louise needs a house now, not in a year and a half's time.
Yeah. Do you think that you should... Do you feel that you should be prioritised as a British citizen for housing first? I mean, obviously, councils would argue that, you know, they were speaking in Arabic because, you know, they're trying to make sure they can reach for lots of people. There's lots of different diverse people in the country. That's what they would argue. But do you think that you should be able to get priority when you step in there as a British citizen?
Can I just say I'm confused with the homeless project, for example, because I've gone in there many a times. It's been 8 months I've been homeless. And I've managed resourcefully, thank God I've been independent as a person since a young person. And I've been through similar things as a young person with my mum and with my dad, which I won't go into.
Yeah.
My difficulties growing up. But when I've gone to the homeless place before and they talk about... And I've gone in there and I said before, I'm sleeping in my tent, I've gone to a campsite, so I've been resourceful. I feel safer at the campsites than on the street. But they've turned around to me in the past and they've said, you're not going to get on the priority list because you're a woman who hasn't got children and you've not got any mental health issues.
Stick a burqa on and say Inshallah and see how you jump over all the white people.
Unfortunately, I have 10 seconds to the end of this part of the show, but we're going to be back next hour with all your front pages, hot off the press. Here's your weather.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. High pressure keeps it settled. It does mean it'll turn quite chilly tonight with some mist and fog in places, but then there'll be plenty of sunshine to come through Sunday. And we can see high pressure just sat firmly across the northeast of the UK. A bit of a keen easterly breeze through the day today, but it should start to ease a little. Some low cloud as we move through into the early hours, moving in across northern England, northern and eastern parts of Scotland. So turning quite murky here. Otherwise, it's a clear night to come, turning quite chilly where those skies remain clear and the winds are light, temperatures dropping away into single figures. Touch of frost for 1 or 2, particularly across northern England into Scotland. Temperatures here likely to fall below freezing in the countryside. So a bit of a grey start across the north of the UK. So if we take a look at the details first thing Sunday morning, we can see quite a lot of low cloud across Orkney and Shetland, eastern parts of Scotland too. But in the west, plenty of sunshine to greet us first thing, and lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland into parts of northern England and Wales too. Just some low cloud around the higher ground and plenty of sunshine across the rest of England as well. Bit of an easterly breeze through the day. It will stay quite chilly along some eastern coasts once more, but plenty of sunshine to come. Just low clouds still affecting parts of Orkney and Shetland, but hopefully it'll brighten up here through the afternoon as well, and lots of places seeing lots of sunshine, and the sunshine a little hazy at times, but lifting temperatures towards the mid-teens, 17, 18 Celsius possible across the southwest again. Winds feeling a little lighter, so it should just feel a little bit warmer too. Cold night into Monday morning, a patchy frost in places, and then more of the same to come. Plenty of sunshine through the day, just some low cloud again across the far north of Scotland into Orkney and Shetland. And high pressure holds on through much of next week, keeping it dry and sunny, and temperatures remain above average. See you again soon.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Alex Armstrong in for Ben Leo. Breaking tonight, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer rocked, reports the Daily Mail, as a Labour MP is arrested on suspicion of rape and child sex offences. Vladimir Putin is a danger to an unprotected Britain, reports the Sunday Express, as calls grow for our own Israeli-style Iron Dome system. The Prime Minister writes in The Telegraph, the world as we knew it has gone. Nobody wins from a trade war. Sir Keir Starmer claims he will protect British businesses from the trade war with Donald Trump. What does it mean for the UK? Has he just destroyed the little leverage we had with America? Alison Pearson wrote an incredible piece today also about Lucy Connolly, who was jailed for 31 months after she tweeted about the riots last summer. Is free speech continuing to be under threat? And have you set your tea alarm?
Is that really it? Yes. Do not take that off of your phones.
Yeah, I've got mine ready to go. And of course, joining me tonight on the panel are former Met Police Detective Peter Bleksley, former Labour Special Advisor Paul Richards, and the communications journalist and advisor Linda Jubilee. But first, let's get your news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thanks, Alex. Good evening to you. Our top story, Labour MP Dan Norris has been arrested on suspicion of rape and child sex offences. The party says it suspended the 65-year-old former minister after being informed of his arrest. It's understood Norris, who's also the mayor of the West of England, was arrested on Friday over claims of historic sexual attacks on a girl and a rape allegation from the 2020s. The MP for North East Somerset and Hanham has lost the party whip, and Labour says it cannot comment further while the police investigation is ongoing. President Trump's told the American people to hang tough, saying although the current economic situation won't be easy, it will deliver historic results. His comments come as Jaguar Land Rover announced it will pause shipments to the United States this month because of Trump's 25% tax on imported cars. JLR sells 100,000 vehicles to the US every year. That's a quarter of its global sales. Now, the US is the second biggest importer of British cars after the European Union, and the former head of Aston Martin has said job losses in the UK market are inevitable. Well, yesterday, Wall Street closed after one of its most volatile weeks in years, with its three main indexes down by more than 5%. Investment firm JP Morgan says the odds of a global recession have risen from 40 to 60%. Well, crowds, as a result, have gathered in cities around the world to hold anti-Trump demonstrations. Thousands took part in Washington, D.C., where protesters have said they're standing up for democracy and are against the president's policies generally, not just the new tariffs, with protests planned in every US state.
We are in a fight. We are in a fight for our democracy. We are in a fight for our Constitution. We are in a fight for our families. We are in a fight for the kind of future we want in this country. In America, we do not accept dictators and we do not accept kings.
Protests in Paris, Berlin and also central London earlier as part of the global hands-off movement. They're referring to Trump threatening to invade Greenland, Canada and Panama. The movement organised by more than 150 organisations, including civil rights groups and trade unions. Israel's military has admitted to mistakenly attacking a convoy of emergency vehicles and killing 15 medics and rescue workers in Gaza last month. A warning some viewers may find the following footage distressing. The admission follows the emergence of this footage shared by the Palestinian Red Crescent, which proved their ambulances and a fire engine were clearly marked and had emergency lights flashing when the attack took place. The Israeli military initially claimed the vehicles had headlights off and no flashing signals, so its soldiers opened fire on, quote, terrorists in suspicious vehicles. Well, the UN's confirmed 15 bodies were found in a mass grave. The footage was recovered from a mobile phone belonging to one of those killed, and the ambulances were also buried. Finally, Nick Rocket, trained by Willie Mullins and ridden by his son Patrick, has won the Grand National at Aintree. The 33-to-1 shot led home a 1-2-3 for the champion trainer Mullins. The 2024 winner, Aya Maximus, came second. Grange Clare West was third, and Willie Mullins finished with 5 of the top 7 horses. The winning owner, Stuart Andrew, is now more than £500,000 better off. Those are the headlines. I'll be back with more just after 11.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome back to Ben Leo tonight. I've got all of your papers hot off of the press. Let's start with The Independent. Former MI6 chief says Britain must get ready for war with Putin. Yes, there's a lot of sabre rattling going on today. We follow that up with the Sunday Express. UK Iron Dome won't protect us from Putin. An Iron Dome would not protect British towns and cities from missile attacks if targeted by Russia, says the Sunday Express. Moving on to The Observer. Starmer orders economic reset amid Trump tariff mayhem. PM ready to ditch the old assumptions and move on to the future. The Mail Starmer rocked as MP held in rape and child abuse probe. This is going to be a big story. Let's move on, though, to the Sunday Telegraph. They are also leading with the Labour MP arrested on rape and child sex offences there. Police raided home of Dan Norris, the Mayor of West of England, on Friday. And then we're moving on to the Express. UK Iron Dome, sorry, we'll do this one again, won't protect us from Putin. OK, let's get the thoughts of my fantastic panel. We've got Linda Jubilee, everyone else, Peter Blexley. Guys, let's get stuck straight in. I want to start off, but listen, there's an active case going on this, so we cannot discuss active cases on air. As you know, I know so many of you want to talk about it, but we are going to talk, first of all, about the UK Iron Dome. Now, you know, we haven't heard a lot about the war, Linda, recently. It's taken a little bit of a drop-off since that big fallout in the White House. Is this sabre-rattling coming back here? We've got the Sunday Express leading with a Putin story. We've got... Who else was on it over here? We've got the Independent. Yeah,
I mean, I would say if Sir Alex Younger issues a warning, we should all be paying attention to it. Because he is one of the most forceful and accurate commentators I've heard since the beginning of this conflict. The only thing that worries me is that Iron Dome won't protect us from Putin. It didn't protect the Israelis from Hamas.
Right.
So it doesn't protect absolutely everything because Hamas went under the dome and still killed 1,000 people. But we do need to pay attention to the size of our army, which at the moment wouldn't fill Wembley Stadium. Alex Young is absolutely right. There is a clear and present danger, and we have to do something about it in terms of recruitment and increasing the percentage we spend on defence of our GDP.
Paul, Labour's promise is going to put defence spending up. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours that money is going to be going to Chagos, which is going to cost us 90 million a year. Do you think we're going to have to raise defence spending again in the near term?
Well, on the Iron Dome, it does defend Israel, but not exclusively, and it would defend us in the same situation. It does bring down an awful lot of the rockets that are targeted at Tel Aviv and elsewhere. So I think, you know, Luke Akehurst MP and others have said this. We need proper missile defence for the UK. We also need to double the size of the army.
Yeah.
You know, and some of this increased expenditure, we've taken money, as you know, away from aid and putting it into defence, but it can't all go on kit. It has to go on personnel as well. So I think a lot of massive recruitment and pay people decently and put a lot of young people into the army is one of the answers as well.
Peter, look, you know, this is Britain must get ready for war with Putin. This is quite sensational words here from Sir Alex Younger. What do you make of it all?
We should have had a war with Putin 3 years ago. We should have done. The minute he walked in...
I hope not. I don't want us to go to war.
The minute he walked in, his troops marched into Ukraine, we should have got a bit of paper, stuck it under Zelensky's nose, said, sign there, you're in NATO, and then we would have smashed Putin's troops back to Moscow within a fortnight, and it would have been done and dusted. But no, our cowardly, pathetic politicians went, oh, it might cause a nuclear war. Really? Well, appeasement and cowardice gets you headlines like this.
Well, I don't think it was just our politicians. I think our military leaders as well did not want to exacerbate the situation. And, in fact, we have to pay close attention to what we do along Putin's border going forward.
Military leaders do what elected politicians tell them to do.
Paul?
It's interesting that the Red Army that we feared all these decades now has stalled in a war with a small country for 3 years. You know, they thought that was going to be over in 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks,
So they're not all that, are they?
Yes. No, I actually agree with you there, Paul, because I think what we've been able to achieve in Ukraine is something quite... I mean, we have invested a lot of money and resources into it, but we have held back Russia, one of the most powerful countries in the world, on Ukraine. I'm not saying we're winning the war, but we're certainly not... Putin's certainly not winning either.
It just shows that if people are defending their own home turf, they fight twice as hard. We saw that in Vietnam and all kinds of other wars as well.
I mean, Putin's lost nearly 1 million soldiers.
It's a lot of people dying.
It's a shame that...
I want wars to end. I'm not pro-war personally. But anyway, look, let's move on, because we've spoken so much about war with GB News lately. But let's look, this is quite a nuanced one here. So, mother jailed for Southport Twitter/X post should be freed, says Suella Braverman. Senior Conservatives, including former Prime Minister Liz Truss, have called for the release of the mother jailed for a social media comment made in the wake of the Southport riots. Linda, what do you make of those
I think
comments?
the punishment was too harsh for this woman.
It's a long time to be put away.
Yeah, exactly. When other people commit far more heinous crimes and don't get custodial sentence, or certainly get a shorter sentence than her, but she should serve some time. I don't believe she should have got a non-custodial sentence, but someone should be sorting this out now because I don't think it was dealt with fairly.
Yeah, Peter, we see these. It upsets me so much because I constantly see these police knocking on people's doors for WhatsApp messages, police knocking on people's doors for social media posts. I think I saw today there was a 3% of all arrests made are due to people posting things online. That number should be 0, shouldn't it?
We cannot discuss the Lucy Connolly story without taking ourselves back to that dreadful morning when Rudy Bacana went on his murderous rampage. I know how I felt when I saw that unfolding on the news. And I, to a certain extent, have some degree of sympathy for Lucy Connolly because in the heat of the moment, she wrote something that was utterly vile and for which she needed punishing. But her punishment is utterly disproportionate when you think of all the stinking paedophiles that get in front of courts on a daily basis for possessing the worst kind of images, and they don't go to prison for 1 day.
Yeah, quite right.
It is disproportionate. She needs to be released now. She's learned her lesson.
Paul, so, you know, who is it here? Suella Braverman saying that she's a victim, Lucy Connolly's a victim of politicised two-tier justice.
I fear that the problem here is people like Suella Braverman and others are using this as a political football. And I don't think politicians should have a say over, what the courts have determined is a suitable...
Starmer used her as a political football.
No,
he started it.
No, it was the courts that put her away.
Oh, yeah. What, and Starmer had no influence over that whatsoever?
Not influenced by the Prime Minister. And, she did threaten, she did suggest that we should be burning down hotels full of children.
Do you think that Keir Starmer influenced the courts?
No.
Well, he did come out and
what about when he stood
24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I mean, obviously he does have some say in it.
And saying that people will face the full force of the law.
The law, exactly, the law.
Yeah, his judges.
Interesting. Let's have a quick look at the Observer here. Starmer orders economic reset amid Trump tariff mayhem. Now, I have advocated for a very long time that we need to nationalise or have some form of economic nationalism back to Britain. We have sold swathes of this country out. Towns and cities, we've sold them off to foreign companies that have shut down production in this country that have now, they might have seen great at the time that we were going to privatise the country and we were going to sell off and globalise Britain. Might have worked very well for a little while, but it's clearly biting us on the backside, isn't it?
I don't know what you do now. I mean, frankly, communities in Scunthorpe and Port Talbot in Wales...
Well, I know what you do. You nationalise British Steel. That's what you need to do right now.
I don't even know whether it's too late now.
I think we need to
this should have been done years ago.
Nationalise British Steel this week.
And the water.
Well, Peter, Trump's trying to bring back... part of his tariff plan is to bring back production to America and revitalise so many towns that have been forgotten about. Do you think we should do the same here?
He's putting America first. I travel the length and breadth of the country, not only with work, but following my beloved Queen's Park Rangers. And it grieves me to say that so many parts of this once great nation are absolute carses, right? Dreadful. Economic deprivation, economic separation, ghettos, communities of one faith or another, living in their own little enclave. No integration.
Trump's making it worse with
no integration whatsoever.
Worse.
There is chronic social deprivation, sadly, in so much of our nation, and it grieves me every time I witness it.
Yeah, so we'll just think a little bit lighter because we've got more. We're going to have more big headlines coming your way, of course, because this is GBN breaking at the moment, but. Let's have a look at the front page of the Mail again here because they're doing a 20th anniversary special. Why sparks still fly in tactile Charles and Camilla's marriage, as revealed to our royal editor by their close friends. They do seem very loved up, don't they, these two, Linda?
I think this is one of the great love stories of the 20th and 21st century. I mean, there is no question that those two loved each other within months of meeting each other. And they were held apart by the royal family who insisted that he married a virgin and someone who was suitably aristocratic to carry on the bloodline, and still their love prevailed. I think it's an extraordinary relationship, and it's built on humour and trust and a profound understanding of each other. And I think it's a joy to see. And the Queen was right behind her being made Queen.
Yes, she was.
Because she said, you know, she is his pillar of strength. He is going to be king, and she needs him.
Paul, what do you make of... Oh, go on. Go on, though, Peter.
No, well, I'm just going to tell you, mine and my wife's love story is a far more engaging story than this. We didn't have a life of privilege. We didn't live off the public purse. We've had to graft and graft and graft to put food on the table and raise our kids. And there's been bumps in the road. And 30 years on, we had a lovely date night last night. Oh, that's a love story for you.
But it doesn't distract from their relationship.
No, good luck to them.
Go on, Paul. What do you make of it?
Good luck to them both. That's it.
That's it. That's your royal correspondent there.
You know my views
I'm
on the royal
completely
family.
fascinated. Do you know what really intrigues me as well? And I remember this when I was on the Tonight programme, where I was doing some raw stories, and he gave her the Queen Mother's engagement ring when he proposed to her. That was something so symbolic and so romantic and so sentimental.
That he hadn't had to pay for.
Diana just chose the ring out of the royal chocolate box, as it was called on the crown, but he gave her a ring of real sentimental value from the person he actually admired most in the world, which was the Queen Mother.
Well, there you go. Peter, before we go to our next break, the viewers are desperate to know, where'd you go on your date night?
We went to our local micro pub for a bottle of wine, couple of pints, and then we had dinner at home. With a couple of bottles out of the co-op. It was lovely.
Did you cook?
No, my wife did.
All right, OK, well, that's plenty more headlines coming up for you very soon. But time for the Great British Giveaway. And it's the biggest prize we've ever given away. It's your chance to drive away with a brand new 4-berth motorhome worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you 5k in cash too. Want the chance to become our biggest winner to date? Well, here is all the details you'll need.
We're making the Great British Giveaway a getaway with a chance to win our biggest prize to date. You could be the proud owner of this Elneg Baron 560 motorhome, worth over £67,000. Supplied brand new from Marquis Leisure, you could be exploring Great Britain and beyond this summer and making memories to last a lifetime. This motorhome comfortably sleeps 4, has its own kitchen and bathroom spaces, and comes complete with all of the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle of this calibre. And that's not all, as we'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash so you can get started on your next adventure as soon as possible. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. But coming up, I can't believe I'm reading this. Can you become a better writer by writing in the nude? All right, this is Ben Leo tonight, only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
It's all kicking off in the world of bowling because an historic bowls club could be forced to close after a staggering 2,000% parking fee hike. Members, many of them of course elderly, say they can't afford the jump from 40 quid to an astonishing £840. Now, for some, the club is their social lifeline, but the council insists that the change is necessary to ease financial pressures. Well, of course they would. Well, joining me now to discuss this is the club captain of Eastbourne Parade Bowls Club, Pete Hensman. Pete, welcome to the show. This is an astonishing hike in the car parking costs. It must have simply bowled you all over.
Yeah, to use a phrase, you're quite right. We sort of staggered and worried because of the possibility of closing us.
What's the reaction been within the club to what seems like an eye-watering increase?
Well, as you said, several of our members are saying, we just can't join, we can't afford it. The bus service around here is not particularly good, and they can't carry their bowls or get to the club.
And you've been around since 1897. You've got 70 members, got some wonderful pictures there on screens of people just getting together. Absolutely wonderful thing to do. Healthy physically, healthy mentally, and of course a lot of people lose more friends as they get on. Have the council been remotely forthcoming in seeing the light?
I think they've got a bit of a panic on. We got a message inviting us to join the chairman of the council tomorrow to discuss the matter. I hope we're going to get a compromise.
GB News.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Ben Leo tonight with me, Alex Armstrong. We're going to have more of those front pages dropping for you very soon. But first, I am joined by Deputy Editor for the Daily Star on Sunday, John Ward. Hello, how are you doing there? Hope you've got you down the line. We do. Hello, John. How are you doing?
How are you doing? Thank you for having me. How's it going?
It's going very well. So far, so good. Look, so we've got some stories we want to cover. The first one, I just introed this a minute ago, is how to become a better writer by writing in the nude. I'm sure the audience are gasping to know. Do you want to lead us up on that one, John?
Well, it's in the Express today, page 3. I've just put my clothes back on because I've been writing all day.
Thank you.
But it suggests that if you're struggling or having writer's block or struggling to write, maybe writing in a nude will help you out.
What exactly are they supposedly meant to be suggesting about this? Because I think that would be terrifying, because there's a lot of people in this office who write a lot of stories, and I don't know whether they'd be too happy about people writing in the. I'm guessing they mean you've got to do this isolated.
No, well, it's actually the Bournemouth Writing Festival. I think it's got something to do with British naturism as well.
Right.
But they're suggesting that Agatha Christie, Ian Fleming and Victor Hugo are amongst writers who used to write in the Buff.
Really?
Yeah, and apparently Christie used to soak in the bath while plotting her mysteries, and Fleming would walk around naked in his Jamaican villa. No, you're right. I'm not sure you'd want to go and do it with a bunch of other people.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea, John, but, you know, something for everybody, I guess. Let's talk about champagne sales, because apparently they've gone flat in the UK. Pun intended. Oh, John, have we lost you? Oh, I think we've frozen, unfortunately. Well, let's bring in my fantastic panel, then we'll talk about flat champagne. Hopefully we can get John back at some point. I don't really know what to ask you about flat champagne.
Well, what have we got to celebrate?
Yeah.
What is there to celebrate in this country? No wonder champagne sales have tanked.
I don't need a celebration. I'm happy to drink champagne any time, day or night.
Yeah,
whatever the reason.
Champagne gives me a headache.
Oh, no, I
can't
know.
have it.
That's because you don't do enough of it. That's because you don't get enough
drinking
practice.
sparkling English wine, which is what they should be drinking from the great county of Sussex.
Well, listen, this fantastic weather has obviously been I'm sure, be very, very good for the British vineyards. John's back. We've got John back. John, are you there?
Sorry about that.
No worries, mate. That's all good. This happens. Tell us more about these champagne sales. We've been trying to ad-lib it here on the panel.
Okay, well, apparently they're the lowest since the millennium. And maybe if you had the winner of the Grand National, you might have opened a few today. I certainly didn't have it.
Yeah.
But they're suggesting that it's because cocktails are becoming more popular, Prosecco and the likes. And
really?
people can't afford champagne really anymore. So
because I was going to say, you would have thought with all the good weather we've had, this is perfect time to be growing, having a vineyard, wouldn't you?
Well, I guess, yeah. Can you afford it? That's probably the next.
Oh, good point. Good point, John. Let's move on then. So 1 in 4 people are arguing over their other half's dress sense. Would you care about what your other half wears, John?
Well, I think it's the other way around. I've got a QPR shirt here in the back. But QPR's just been mentioned there by Peter. But no, it's our top story of the week, Daily Star Sunday. 1 in 4 people have had an argument with their other half over the dress sense. Do you know what the main offenders are?
Go on.
Socks and sandals.
Oh, yeah.
Cowboy boot.
Yeah. Cowboy
shoulder
boots?
pads. Yeah, apparently that's no. Double denim, white vests, and beanie hats. But I mean,
like, I don't think you'd catch me dead in any of those things, thankfully. So I guess I won't be having too many rows with my other half. I want to bring in panel back in here. Peter, you were just talking about your fantastic date night. You're a very well-dressed man, so I'm assuming your other half never has a go at you. But have you had the odd argument about what you wear?
Oh, if I come home with something that Sarah's not keen on, she will let me know.
Really?
But it's interesting that John raised double denim, you see, right? I do like my jeans, and for years I've harboured this desire to own a denim jacket. But my wife has fundamentally put her foot down. She said, "You will not be able to carry that look off, so I'm not getting it."
I can safely say I've never, ever cared what... I've been married twice, and I've never cared what either husband wore, even though I did buy their clothes sometimes. And I've been out, obviously, with a few people, and I don't care what they wear. I only really care what I wear.
Yeah, Paul.
Well, my wife, also called Sarah, she stopped me tonight from wearing a rather nice purple jacket that I was going to wear. My son said I looked like Willy Wonka, and she said, and my wife said,
"You sure that's what he said?"
I think it would have looked.
Behave yourself.
I think it would have looked good. I think it would have looked good in the studio.
Maybe next week.
I mean, it's for TV, isn't it?
Shouldn't I? Yeah, exactly.
But the two top stories that John spoke about, writing in the nude and drinking champagne, I think you should conflate the two and drink champagne in the nude.
Right, before you write anything. There you go. Thank you to John Moore, the Deputy Editor of the Daily Star. Thanks for joining us, John. Brilliant stuff there. I believe we've got some more front pages for you. Mirror, the Daily Mirror. All right, of course, they're leading with that bombshell story that's going to dominate headlines, I'm sure, tomorrow. Labour MP's child sex and rape arrest. Party suspends mayor after police raids his home. The Sun on Sunday. Star thinks he's fabulous. I'm the only judge on Strictly. TV Craig's astonishing attack on co-stars. Ooh, interesting. And The Times, Sunday Times. They're leading with Kremlin spy sensors found in British waters. They've also got an interesting story here. Starmer to admit globalisation has failed as tariff war rages. Don't tell me I write the headlines before they write them themselves. What else have we got? We got anything else there? That's it so far.
Yeah. Oh, what about university is lectured on accent bias?
So why don't you take away with that one?
OK, well, because they've been shown at Edinburgh University that certain lecturers within that body are prejudiced against people of the working class. Now, I sometimes come up against prejudice because of the way I talk. I've got a clearly regional accent, and sometimes people think, oh, yeah, well, he's got to be a bit dim up top. And often that, funnily enough, could work in my favour. But there's accent bias. I love regional accents. We've got such a great country with wonderful accents from the West Country to the North East to Scotland to Wales, every part of the UK, not forgetting Northern Ireland. I love that lilt. We've got brilliant regional accents, and there are not enough of them on our TV screens and on our radio.
Can I agree and say you're absolutely spot on, because I grew up in London, so I actually had a Cockney accent growing up, but it was trained out of me because I was told you won't get a job with that accent.
Shame on you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't train myself out of it. They did. But we won't get into it. But Linda, go on. What do you think about accent bias? Is it a thing?
I've never really noticed it, and I do think there's a fair spread of accents on television in this country, on television and in radio. I've got no objection to them. I like regional accents. There's no problem at all, as far as I can see. I mean, my daughter did go to Edinburgh University, and she never came home and talked about accent bias.
Interesting. Paul, what do you make of that? Have we got an accent bias?
Well, the BBC famously had this sort of received pronunciation, didn't it?
Yeah, that was years ago.
And the Beatles would go on and they would interview them and people would claim they wouldn't understand what the Beatles were saying. There'd be perfectly good English accent. So we have, thank God, left that behind.
OK. All right, well, I think we are. I mean, GB News, we're the best of this. We've got reporters all up and down the country with a range of different accents on there. I think we're great for that.
As long as people are clear, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you notice I used to work for an American network at one point, and sometimes you used to get such strong accents, they had to run subtitles across the bottom of the soundbite.
Well, I want to stick with the Times here because, you know, I have been saying this for weeks on GB News. Watch any of my stuff over the last few weeks. Starmer to admit globalisation has failed as tariff war rages. We were talking about this literally on this show today, and I was saying globalisation has failed. We need to go back to a more nationalised version, at least for our economy's sake. Is this Starmer pivoting to more Trump, Paul?
No, it's not. I mean, it's about saying we do need free trade. Trump has torn up the rules of free trade, and free trade has done us a lot of favours over many years. It needs to be ethical, it needs to be fair, but, you know, putting up these protectionist barriers doesn't help anybody at all. But Starmer is saying, look, we need more trade with Europe now, we need more trade with the Commonwealth. Africa is on the rise. The Latin America. We're going to need to relook at our relationships in the world now.
What, unless with China and all their cheap tat flooding into the country?
Well, they'll be flooding us soon. They'll be flooding the UK.
Well, they already have.
Other places, yeah. I think it'll be worse because of the Trump tariffs. But I think they will come and look at countries across in the EU will beg for it, and I think that's a real shame. I really do. It really worries me. Linda, what do you make of this? Starmer's going to admit globalisation has failed. I mean, you could famously say that Tony Blair was he's a big globalist, isn't he? And this is a striking change in Labour's tone.
The fact of the matter is we're in a completely different era now. We've left behind the international rules-based order and we are now looking at a world that's dominated by Putin, by the US and by China. And I lived in China. I lived in Hong Kong for 5 years. And although China many years ago did produce quite shoddy stuff, they have learnt and learnt and learnt, and they are a power to be recognised.
Oh, yes.
You know, you need to recognise their importance because they believe they are the next superpower.
Yeah, they probably will be, Linda.
Plenty of economists believe the same thing.
Right.
No, they believed it already.
Right, well, anyway, so we've got more to come on that. We'll talk about this more after the break. But coming up, believe it or not, it's almost tea time. It really is. This is Ben Leo tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only in GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Although some of the sunniest and warmest weather across Europe is in the UK at the moment, there'll still be some fine weather for parts of Spain. However, an area of rain is moving into Portugal, Madeira, just about avoiding Canaries for Sunday. Further east into central, eastern and southern Spain, as well as Gibraltar, sunny spells. Showers for Italy and for Greece, not as lively as the thunderstorms we saw last week. Then it turns a bit colder for Italy and Greece later next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Gynecological health, women's health as a whole, is one of the biggest societal challenges that we face currently.
What would you say, Josephine?
I've been massively failed over the 12 years that I've been dealing with endometriosis in many, many different ways. I wasn't believed to begin with. I was passed from pillar to post. There was a time where after an endometriosis surgery, I got sepsis. I wasn't believed and I was sent away from the hospital and the next day was taken back in quite a serious state. I think because I was young, but also because endometriosis just isn't taken seriously at all.
Is it because women go to the doctor and they say, I'm having really bad pains, and then what does the doctor say sometimes? Do they say, oh, well, everyone gets bad period pains, just have a bit of Nurofen? Is that what sometimes happens, Valentina?
Period and pelvic pain is a silent public health pandemic. It affects 9 out of 10 women. And research from the British Medical Journal tells us that we lose 9 to 12 productive days each year to period pain. But we can't really blame medical professionals. We can't blame GPs. We can't blame the NHS because there isn't research that they can rely on. We have massively underfunded gynecological health as a whole. Currently, we spend only about 2.4% of our entire public health budget for the entirety of women's health. So that 2.4% is measly, and it has to stretch to cover breast cancer, maternity care, menopause, endometriosis. And because women were not allowed to take part in clinical trials up until 1993, we don't really know how most modern medications affect the female physiology versus the male physiology.
The People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This has been Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News. Let's return to your front pages. We've got The Independent. Former MI6 chief says Britain must get ready for war with Putin. Sunday Express, the UK Iron Dome won't protect us from Putin. The Observer, Starmer orders economic reset amid Trump tariff mayhem. The Mail on Sunday, Starmer rocked as MP held in rape and child abuse probe. Sunday Telegraph, Labour MP arrested on rape and child sex offence. Of course, everyone's going with that. Some other interesting stories, though, we'll pick up in just a second. The Sunday Mirror, Labour MP's child sex and rape arrest. Party suspends mayor after police raid his home. The Sun on Sunday, I'm the only judge on Strictly. TV Craig's astonishing attack on co-stars. And the Sunday Times, Kremlin spy sensors found in British waters. OK, let's quickly have a chat about what we were finishing up the story on the last before the break there. Starmer to admit globalisation has failed. I think this is huge. I think if the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom comes out and says globalisation has failed, this is a change of our economic policy like nothing we've seen for decades. Linda, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that we will have to react in some way to what President Trump has done. And President Trump has clearly instigated all these tariff charges because he wants to protect industry in the US. And that's, you could see that from the audience in the Rose Garden. That wasn't full of politicians. That was full of paramedics, full of fire officers, full of police officers. Yeah. Those are the people he wants to protect. Now, if he's doing that, we have to do something to protect ourselves. And inevitably, that leads to an anti-globalisation kind of setup.
Peter?
So if globalisation has failed, is Starmer going to reinvent British manufacturing? Is he going to nationalise British steel? Are we actually going to start making things and selling things to each other instead of importing all that tat that I've talked about from China?
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be the key question is, if globalisation has failed, what are we replacing it with, right? Because
Well, I think it's about new trading arrangements. We are a trading nation. We can't build everything here that we're going to need.
Sure, but he's saying globalisation has failed. You can't just replace Americanisation. I mean, he could come out and say Americanisation of globalisation has failed, but what's the alternative? We're going to import, as Peter said, from China?
No, we're going to have to reinvent our relationships with the rising African continent, with Latin America, and with, believe it or not, Europe. We're going to
still globalisation, isn't it?
Europe.
That's still globalisation.
It's trade, and that's the whole of this nation.
But he's saying it's failed. That's the thing, right? He's saying it's failed. I would find it difficult for him to come out and say globalisation has failed, but we're going to cosy up with the EU and China. I think that would be a complete antithesis of that statement.
That's the whole point. There are there's bigger markets in Latin America than there is in Northern America.
So let's manufacture some of the things we need here. Let's get some of those people off of the unemployment list. Let's make some of those northern run-down towns, which grieves my heart to see. Let's make them proud again. Let's have blue-collar jobs where people can have a career, earn a decent wage.
Do that overnight. That's going to take a very long time to start doing.
And by the way, the last time America did this, of course, it led to a global recession. I mean, it was an absolute, slump.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to steel ourselves for.
I highly suspect Trump is doing this deliberately. I mean, it would make a lot of sense given the 9 trillion national debt interest rate that's going to hit them in 2026 to completely crash the American economy, put it into a recession, and pay a lower percentage on that national debt next year. That seems like a very smart thing to do. Otherwise, Americans would be paying out their backsides for a debt, wouldn't they not?
Except the billionaires who back him have lost, vast fortunes in the last
He's doing it against them, really.
Yeah,
they can afford to.
They will tear him down.
But the markets move.
They will tear him down. They will not put up with it.
And they move in a cyclical way. So there is a market response to what went on, to the tariff news
a massive
this week.
crash is what
there is a massive crash, but it doesn't stay that way. That's the point.
It wasn't Black Monday, was it?
Versus the economy. The economy is a different matter.
Absolutely.
And it responds in a different way.
Well, this dip does make... it looks nothing like what happened during COVID, of course. We're talking... this is quite small in comparison.
Yeah, it's
not small.
But, we don't... Well, it's relatively small compared to COVID.
But markets recover.
But anyway, listen, we're not going to solve the market crisis here on GB News, unfortunately. But
well, how long have we got?
We haven't got that long, unfortunately, Paul. Let's take a look at a clip that caught my eye this week. It really did.
Is that really it? Yeah. Do not take that off of your phones. Yeah. Everybody hold your phone up to me right now.
You didn't believe me.
I did not believe this. I am in the UK right now, and I swear to God, I thought everybody was lying to me. There is an alarm that goes off here.
How did you not believe
at 2 o'clock our time, and it reminds them to drink tea.
Yesterday?
Yes, that's of course the tea alarm, the national tea alarm. We have this. What's that noise?
Oh.
It's time. It's time, isn't it, guys? It's time for tea. It's national tea time. This happens, of course, every day. Who have we got here?
It's tea time! It's tea time, everyone!
Wow.
That's what I like to see.
Schaefer, thank you so much. I'm the host, so I'm pouring the tea. This is, of course, a great British tradition.
Excuse me?
Our American friends.
Where's the biscuits?
No biscuits for you.
This is not tea time without biscuits.
You're on a diet.
You need to learn.
Thank you,
Lewis, thank you for joining us. Oh, Lewis almost took himself out on the way out there. But of course, this is the national tradition of British tea time. It's an alarm that goes off regularly throughout the day. We was having it a little bit later today, actually, because we put a special request in for the royal family to change national tea time to 10:42, so we could enjoy this tea together, everybody. And I'm hoping that we can all. What's your favourite cup of tea, Linda?
I don't want to sound like elitist, but I do like lapsang.
Oh, Linda. Build this tea.
Who's he play for?
Yeah. Well, I personally, I love a Yorkshire tea. That's my favourite, and I have that every tea alarm. And of course, Americans are losing their minds because they don't realise we have a tea alarm in the UK. And they're just figuring this out now, that every day, as you saw in that clip, that Brits have a tea time.
I stop for tea every day.
Absolutely. And when the alarms go off, we have to stop. The national anthem plays. We have those. We repurpose those air sirens, of course, to
if it's good enough for cricket, it's good enough for me.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there'll be many Americans watching today asking when they can indulge themselves in British national tea time. And I tell you what, it happens every day. 10:42. So I'm going to have a lovely tea break here with Peter, Linda and Paul. So coming up, though, we've got the big weekend fails. This has been Leo Tonight with me, Alex Armstrong, only on GB News. We're going to have a spot of tea. See you soon.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. High pressure keeps it settled. It does mean it'll turn quite chilly tonight with some mist and fog in places, but then there'll be plenty of sunshine to come through Sunday. And we can see high pressure just sat firmly across the northeast of the UK. A bit of a keen easterly breeze through the day today, but it should start to ease a little. Some low cloud as we move through into the early hours, moving in across northern England, northern and eastern parts of Scotland. So turning quite murky here. Otherwise, it's a clear night to come, turning quite chilly where those skies remain clear and the winds are light, temperatures dropping away into single figures. Touch of frost for 1 or 2, particularly across northern England into Scotland. Temperatures here likely to fall below freezing in the countryside. So a bit of a grey start across the north of the UK. So if we take a look at the details first thing Sunday morning, we can see quite a lot of low cloud across Orkney and Shetland, eastern parts of Scotland too. But in the west, plenty of sunshine to greet us first thing, and lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland into parts of northern England and Wales too. Just some low cloud around the higher ground and plenty of sunshine across the rest of England as well. Bit of an easterly breeze through the day. It will stay quite chilly along some eastern coasts once more, but plenty of sunshine to come. Just low clouds still affecting parts of Orkney and Shetland, but hopefully it will brighten up here through the afternoon as well, and lots of places seeing lots of sunshine, and the sunshine a little hazy at times, but lifting temperatures towards the mid-teens, 17, 18 Celsius possible across the southwest again. Winds feeling a little lighter, so it should just feel a little bit warmer too. Cold night into Monday morning, a patchy frost in places, and then more of the same to come. Plenty of sunshine through the day, just some low cloud again across the far north of Scotland into Orkney and Shetland. And high pressure holds on through much of next week, keeping it dry and sunny, and temperatures remain above average. See you again soon.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking... This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Welcome back to Ben Leo tonight. We're just finishing up national tea time, actually, to our fantastic guest. We got a spot of tea during the break there. We got Sir Paul wanted some tea. You wanted a top-up, didn't you, mate? So, to our American audience there, I hope you've enjoyed seeing national tea time play out live on air, of course. But now it's time for our big weekend fails. Linda, you're first up, aren't you?
Yep, and I've done this once before, but it's Lucy Powell and Richard Holdham, two MPs, Conservative and Labour. They were on Politics Live, and I'm not joking. It's like Punch and Judy live. It's so funny and so bad, I almost think they should be given their own programme.
All right, let's have a look.
So COVID put up inflation to 11%. COVID.
Are you unaware of that?
Sorry, COVID put up mortgage rates
are you unaware of the impact that inflation had?
Sorry, did COVID do that?
You don't think there was...
Did COVID do that?
You think there was no impact from COVID?
Did it?
Right, you don't. Because,
I'm talking about inflation.
You're just wrong. You're just wrong. Inflation, obviously, inflation
11%?
Yeah, around the world. Every single country
11%?
Not as high as 11%. Exactly, because of COVID.
That's actually great. I love a
it's like my midweek treat to watch those two. It's like a domestic. I mean, I don't know why they can't control themselves. Richard Holden was going red in the face. Lucy Powell spoke to him like a sort of a rather distressed schoolmistress.
Yes, it was my
so
fault.
bad.
But it's funny because these people represent us in Parliament, They can't even have a civil debate.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the great things is that a lot of us, we might disagree on panels often, but we'll go out to the green room and we'll have a good laugh and a good chat, and it's all fun and games. We could just move on. But these people, they live and breathe
If I wanted to watch a row, I'd watch EastEnders, not Politics Live.
All right, who's up next? Are you, Peter?
That's Peter.
Sorry, Peter. Sorry.
What's in a name?
I'm getting old. Right, go on, Peter. Sorry.
Justin Welby, former Archbishop of Canterbury. Right, he has to resign in disgrace because so many victims of child sex abuse happened on his watch, and he just did not address the matter, shamefully. So you would think after he's resigned, he would go back home, tend his begonias or whatever it is, and keep his trap shut. But no, he gives a withering, pathetic interview to the BBC last weekend.
You forgive John Smythe?
Yes. I think if he was alive and I saw him, but it's not me he's abused. He's abused the victims and survivors. So whether I forgive or not is, to a large extent, irrelevant.
Yeah, I think it is irrelevant what he thinks, quite frankly. He oversaw a terrible time at the Church of England, didn't he, Peter?
That was a dreadful interview.
He's irrelevant. Just go away.
Yeah.
Go away. Disappear out of public life.
Dreadful interview. His body language in that interview was so unbelievably bad. I mean, anyone watching that who had any connection with one of the victims would have been appalled.
Yeah, don't you think so, Paul?
I agree. I think the church has a lot to answer for.
Oh, yeah. Well, why don't you tell us about what you've got to show us this week?
Well, it's the big story of the week, but we have a semi-literate serial business failure who's just unleashed the most enormous economic experiment of any of our lifetimes on a world, and it will cost jobs and businesses globally. So let's see what Donald Slump had to say, shall we?
America, United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing.
So I don't think he's read the books that even he's pretended to write. Never mind many books about the economy.
It's the board that
we're going to go 10%.
It's the board.
Got 10%. We're going to go 10%, Paul. Is that right?
Including islands with only penguins on them. You know, that was just illiterate.
Is there not an argument to be made that because we are tariffing American goods, that they should create some parity and tariff us back?
But it's not parity, is it? It's just made up numbers. It looks like ChatGPT wrote most of that stuff.
Paul. Peter, Paul. God, Peter, I'm so sorry.
Peter,
I'll tell you what, Peter, Paul, I'm going to get you. I will get it right at some point tonight. Peter.
Yes, Ben.
That was very good, very sharp, very sharp.
Monday we'll see what the markets do on Monday. I think it'll be a very interesting day.
Do you know what?
I know what they're going to do.
I kind of understand what the Americans are doing, and I know a lot of British people will feel differently compared to how I feel. But I think you've got to put your country first, and this is what they voted for. It was very clear from the get-go. Americans knew. He said, "I love the word tariff. I love the word tariff."
But he's wrong. It's going to cost Americans jobs too.
OK, all right. Well, anyway, coming up next, it's Headliners presented by Leo Curtis. What have you got coming up for us, mate?
We're going to be talking about the tariffs as well, even though nobody actually understands what they are and how they work and why they're happening and why it's destroying us, why our pension funds are all dropping in value. But they seem to be bad. We've got Lewis Schaefer and Nick Dixon on the show. We're also going to be talking about Lucy Connolly. She's the mother and childminder who is jailed for 31 months for a tweet. It's absolutely insane. People in America are calling it out, and now there are calls in this country for her to be released, or at least for her to be allowed to see her children. It's absolutely inhumane. And also, Joan of Arc is apparently non-binary.
I know everything about tariffs, Leo. Trust me. Well, we'll tell you when the break, OK?
But thank you to Peter Bleksley. Fantastic panel. Paul, Linda, you guys have been fantastic. Up next, of course, is Headliners. And here's your weather first.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello there, welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. High pressure keeps it settled. It does mean it'll turn quite chilly tonight with some mist and fog in places. but then there'll be plenty of sunshine to come through Sunday. And we can see high pressure just sat firmly across the northeast of the UK. A bit of a keen easterly breeze through the day today, but it should start to ease a little. Some low cloud as we move through into the early hours, moving in across northern England, northern and eastern parts of Scotland. So turning quite murky here. Otherwise, it's a clear night to come, turning quite chilly where those skies remain clear and the winds are light, temperatures dropping away into single figures. Touch of frost for 1 or 2, particularly across northern England into Scotland. Temperatures here likely to fall below freezing in the countryside. So a bit of a grey start across the north of the UK. So if we take a look at the details first thing Sunday morning, we can see quite a lot of low cloud across Orkney and Shetland, eastern parts of Scotland too. But in the west, plenty of sunshine to greet us first thing, and lots of sunshine across Northern Ireland into parts of northern England and Wales too. Just some low cloud around the higher ground and plenty of sunshine across the rest of England as well. Bit of an easterly breeze through the day. It will stay quite chilly along some eastern coasts once more, but plenty of sunshine to come. Just low clouds still affecting parts of Orkney and Shetland, but hopefully it will brighten up here through the afternoon as well, and lots of places seeing lots of sunshine, and the sunshine a little hazy at times, but lifting temperatures towards the mid-teens, 17, 18 Celsius possible across the southwest. Again, winds feeling a little lighter, so it should just feel a little bit warmer too. Cold night into Monday morning, a patchy frost in places, and then more of the same to come. Plenty of sunshine through the day, just some low cloud again across the far north of Scotland into Orkney and Shetland. And high pressure holds on through much of next week, keeping it dry and sunny, and temperatures remain above average. See you again soon.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For a chance to win a motorhome and cash, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Tomorrow on GB News Breakfast, we've got a treat for you.
It's me, Angela Rippon.
For just one morning, the broadcast and Strictly Star joins the breakfast team to bring you all the news as it happens.
Nice positive story then.
Another special day here on GB News.
Well, we're still here after the last one.
GB News Breakfast with me, Stephen Dixon, and Angela Rippon. Tomorrow from 6.
Yes, we'll be around for a while.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives. Again, down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.